So where do I want to start?
I wish I could tell you all the things I said in my...
Hey nerds, what's up? So I have my handy dandy notebook with some notes that I took the day that I went and saw The Maze Runner because I knew that I would forget things if I didn't write it all down. It's 3 days since I've seen the movie, so I want to film this review for you. So I posted a sort of like movie only, not worrying about the book review on my blog, and that should have been up on Wednesday, so 2 days ago. And this review is going to be the adaptation review. So based on the book, how did they do in creating the movie? Basically, if you've read the book, you're gonna be good. No spoilers until the end, and I'll warn you. But if you haven't read the book and you want to go see the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, I would say click off of this thing, because unfortunately I'm just going to dive really deep into what the changes are from the book to the movies. So if you haven't read the book and you haven't seen the movie, click off, go read my blog post. That's a safe place for you. And if you've read the book and you still haven't seen the movie, I will warn you when there's spoilers, okay? So let's get into this. So where do I want to start? That's the thing. This movie, as a movie itself, like, if I had never seen the book, I would probably have given it like a 3.5 or 4 stars out of 5, because it was a good action. It had, the character development was pretty good. Like, I liked the characters that you were supposed to like, obviously. And I thought that the woman who played the evil doctor at the end was very good. She's from Easy A, so I've only ever seen her be funny, so it was interesting seeing her play like kind of that sociopathic, I think I'm doing things for the better character. And I really enjoyed that all of the casting choices, the boys were very real. Like, it wasn't this cast of inhumanly beautiful people where it was just like, well, where did these people come from? Because obviously you're not really just 12 to 18-year-old boys. Like, you're movie stars, and that really irritates me a lot of times in a movie. But they didn't do that, and I really enjoyed it. And I knew that the guy who plays Thomas, which I can't remember his name off the top of my head, I knew he was from Teen Wolf, and so I was a little bit nervous because I've never seen Teen Wolf, so can't actually say this from like real opinions, but I just feel like Teen Wolf is probably really campy and shit, and so like, was he gonna be campy? I don't know, but he did a really good job, and the guy who played Newt, I really love that actor. So I really liked the casting, but they changed some things. And some things that they changed don't really matter, and some things that they changed created huge plot holes. Like, that doesn't make any sense anymore. So a few things that don't matter to the person who hasn't read, hasn't seen the movie yet, so no spoilers as far as development goes of the story, but like, there was no beetle in the woods or wherever at all, ever in the movie. There was no beetle with the word wicked on it, so they don't really bring up this whole wicked, like, what is wicked, where is wicked, what is it, what does it mean, all of this thing, until like way at the end of the movie, like last 20 minutes of the movie. It was ridiculous. Like, why are we just now bringing up Wicked? And like, as a person who's read the book, you recognize Wicked within the first 5 seconds of the movie because it's on the thing next to Thomas in the crate that's bringing him up, but they don't bring it up until the very end. And so it's just like, well, why did you wait so long to make everyone think about Wicked before you finally give us some answers? Then, instead of watching the Griever fall into the middle of the air, like in the book, they kill the Griever. And so this was just a change, but it just changed the entire way that they get out of the maze. So instead of finding that weird hole in the middle of the air and going through it that way, they have to go through the maze, outside of the maze, to where the individual Griever that they killed goes at night. So it's an individual thing. So that was weird. But still great fight scenes throughout that entire thing, so whatever. When the Grievers come into the glade, because the doors won't close, which irritated me because in the book, they only kill one boy a night, and in this one, they were just attacking, like, why? Why? I guess it was to make it more, like, intense to watch, I don't know, but it was stupid. But Thomas at one point says, "Get behind me! I hate hate when characters say that.
What are you gonna do? Are you Thor? Because then you're God. Fine. Are you Edward? Because you're a vampire? Great. Jacob? Werewolf? Great. If you have some supernatural power? Fine. You are just another human. You are just another child, boy, male. You're telling all the other males to get behind you. Why? Why is that a line? I don't understand.
And then with the Grievers thing coming in and attacking, like, that was very exciting since they didn't just only kill one. But then why did they stop? Like, they only stopped because it needed to continue. The story needed to continue. They wouldn't have stopped. They didn't kill all the Grievers. They just ran away. Like, what? Before I make everyone who still sadly wants to see this movie, I do want to talk about, they didn't do a whole lot of character development on Teresa. She didn't even need to be in the movie. She made no difference to the movie. She makes a huge difference to the book, but made no difference to the movie. Gally, so because they've never been stung, because they've never seen a Griever live, they've never been stung, which means Gally's never been stung, which means he's nice to Thomas to begin with, and then he freaks out later. And there's this weird moment where he takes over the glade like a dictator. And so because they've never been stung, the Grievers have never been seen, there's no such thing as an antidote thing, a serum that they get regularly in their things, which means that they just have to suddenly pop up with Teresa because they're necessary at some point, because first of all, they have to save Albie, and second of all, Thomas stings himself in order to remember. Those are two key important parts. So once again, they have to take what they've changed and go, oh shit, well, let's try something here and just stick it in, and it'll just sort of magically make sense. Basically, this movie was terrible. As far as all of us who are here have read the book, and I'm going to tell everyone, like, don't waste your money to go see this movie. Don't. Because you're going to hate it, and it's just, like, bullshit. I literally said bullshit out loud in the movie theater. And my friend who I was with has also read it, and she was just like, what in the world? What? How? So it was terrible, and I don't suggest it. But I want to discuss some of the differences now. So I am going to be completely spoiling the entire movie, all of the changes and everything. So if you don't want to be spoiled, click off this video. I hope that you will discuss in the comments with me all of the things that I bring up. In the beginning of the movie, first of all, there's this weird Lord of the Flies party bonfire thing that happens. And what the fuck is that? That doesn't happen. Why are they fighting? Why are they wrestling? Why are they pushing outside each other? That does not happen. In the book, they're so civilized, and in the movie, it was like what you would expect a bunch of 17-year-old testosterone-filled children to be doing. But that was part of the reason that I liked the book, is that these boys were mature, and they weren't acting like idiots. And, like, how are these boys supposed to have survived 3 years in the movie, 2 years in the book, How were they supposed to survive 2 years versus 3 years, living like pigs, as they show in the movie, fighting each other for fun? That does not seem conducive to group loving and caring about each other. It seems conducive to riffing. So that happens. In that bonfire, which is where all of the exposition happens, because in the movie, the whole thing takes place in 3 days. In the book, it takes place in like 2 months. So they had to condense all of the exposition that Thomas gets from trying out all of those different jobs and meeting everyone into one night, the night he shows up. So they made this bonfire thing. And in that bonfire, Newt tells Thomas, nobody's ever seen a Griever and lived. And in that statement, this creates an entire huge plot hole that then the rest of the movie they spend trying to plug it up with different things. It was so stupid. Why did they decide that? So because nobody's ever seen a Griever and lived, that means no one's ever been stung, which means Ben, who gets stung later, that's never happened before. They don't know how to deal with it. What? Why? How does that make any sense? So then, cut to, we get to Ben. And instead of Thomas having flipped out and going into the woods, he has to go get manure for, like, planting a tree, which, fine, whatever. They're condensing things. They don't need to change, they just need to change that to make it quicker. But so he goes into the woods, and he finds the graveyard, which in the book is very nice. Like, it's not obviously civilized, a graveyard. It's just a stick with a cross, but, like, it's not creepy. And when he finds the cemetery in the movie, the skeletons are on top of the ground, but there's still like stone thing marking the plot. Why was there the fly sounds and the smelling? You could just tell, like, Thomas could smell the dead people. Why are we, like, making these boys into savages in this movie? Like, they're civilized people in the book, and they irritated me so much. But then Ben shows up, and Ben is basically a zombie, which is, I didn't really expect it to be like that, but he just, to me, I was like, oh, are we in The Walking Dead now? Like, what's happening? So Ben freaks out, attacks Thomas, and instead of Albie having found them in the woods and helping Thomas, they make it all the way back into the outside where Newt was hanging out and making that tree, and they're like, oh my god, he's been stung. How do they even know what a stinger is if they've never seen a griever before and lived? How do they know what that is? How do they know? So then, the next scene is when Ben is forced outside of the maze. And in that scene, I asked Matt too, because he hasn't read it, and I wanted to make sure that my theory was accurate. It seems like he's being put into the maze because he was stung. Not because he attacked Thomas, but because he was stung. And they say he belongs to the maze now. Then, later, when Albie gets stung and then Mino is trying to save him and then Thomas runs out into the maze and then they spend the entire night in the maze not only trying to save themselves but trying to save Albie, what is the point of that? Why would you bother saving him if all you're going to do is put him in the maze later?
Plot hole. Plot hole. Plot hole. Like, what? It doesn't even make any sense.
The biggest plot hole in the entire fucking movie. They changed the ending so when the boys come out of the maze finally, they make it out. Instead of coming into, like, the lab room where the woman is, who's, like, the leader of the science experiment Wicked, and she starts talking to them, instead, they come into the lab area and everyone is dead. Everyone's dead on the floor. Everyone's been shot and killed. There's obviously been some sort of attack. And then they watch a video of that woman. I can't remember her name. But anyway, the leader, she is explaining the Wicked thing, which all is in the book, okay? They don't change anything there. And then she shoots herself in the head in the video. And then that point where Gally comes and attacks and accidentally kills Chuck instead of Thomas. Very sad. And then all of a sudden, those rebels, I don't know what else to call them, the rebels show up to save the boys. And they take them out and they go in a helicopter instead of a bus. Very exciting. Very theatric. That scene is very pretty. But so if they're here to save the boys, why did they come in, kill the scientists, and leave the boys to try to get through the maze to come into the laboratory so that they could save them? What? Why would they have done that? If they were really rebels, which it turns out they're not anyway, obviously, if you've read, hopefully we've all read the book by now. So we know that they're not actually part of the rebels, but why would the boys still think that they are part saving them and not part of this weird thing that's going on if they didn't save them from the maze but killed everybody? It was stupid. Other than that, anyway, that's the end of this review. I really hated the movie. It was terrible in comparison. In comparison to the book, like, as far as adaptation goes, I give it a 2. Like, it was a terrible adaptation. They took things, because first of all, people who know me know that I do not like when a movie changes anything from a book. I literally want them to take the book and make it into a visual version of the same exact thing. I don't even want the lines to be different. I want everything the same. And now, logically, I know that that's not possible because we get a 13-hour movie sometimes. So, I understand changes like even changing how they get out of the maze because of how they decided to kill the griever instead of watch him disappear through the air. That's fine. That's alright. But they changed things that make plot holes. They made plot holes. Why did you bother doing that? So, if you liked this review, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below of your thoughts because I want to have a discussion with you about it. Make sure to check out all my social media sites because we can also discuss anywhere on those as well. And I will see you guys next time. Bye! Don't forget to subscribe.